The college football experience week 6 DFS preview and picks episode for Friday and Saturday on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog is hooking up new customers. Play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code TCESGPN. Once again, play $5, get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code TCESGPN over at Underdog Fantasy. So do that. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
This is Randy Cross. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience DFS show for week 6 and Underdog Fantasy. Excited to bring you this slate and feeling pretty good. Last week I had a fire slate there. I actually thought it was going to potentially be first place. But I just want to say the some of the plays. Anderson getting hurt for LSU was killer. But how do I say that? Jordan Faison for Notre Dame had a big game. How about fucking Henderson for Kansas had a 99-yard catch on the first drive, or 97-yard catch, whatever the fuck it was. And that one cashed in. The night slate wasn't as good to me. But the day slate definitely made you some coin. And depending if you threw that in, my regret was that I put it in a shittier lineup. Even though I spent $20, I put it in a dumber contest because I wasn't really focusing on that. I was kind of doing it while we were on air. And so if you copied my lineup, I think that would have won in other lineups, in other contests, meaning or at least been top 5. Because I was right there neck and neck, cashing a $50 payout, whatever the fuck. So anyway, that's why you want to tune in. And how about NC Nick? I know on his Twitter feed at NC__NICK, he's been hitting these first touchdown props. He had he had some fire first touchdown props over the past couple weeks. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swigget, Database Dad, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Drinking too much coffee. All right, when you got a 1-year-old son screaming at all times, unplugging my shit. I encourage the youth to play with electrical outlets. You know, we try to. Here's a fork. Here's a paper clip. Let me lick that first. I'm joking, folks. That's a joke. How could he say that about children? I am joined by my co-host. You can find him on many platforms. You've seen him on VSiN Sports Grid. Also, the Rob's Best Bet show on YouTube. Give it up for the great Rob Donaldson. How are you, brother?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. And, I think last weekend lived up to the hype of just being a fantastic slate across the board. Friday, I was so annoyed because I had Eric McAllister in my lineup. He plays 3 snaps, runs half-hearted routes, and then just doesn't come back in the game. And I was like, all right,
they probably would have won. I mean, they probably should have won regardless. I mean, I had Arizona State minus 2.5. I was convinced on Friday that I was invisible. I was like, with the exception of, at one point I thought I was invisible because I had Oregon State money line and that was looking very good. I still had the points to cover my ass, but I had Virginia money line. And I was like, I can't lose. I can't lose. I'm going to jump out of the second story window just to see if it hurts when I hit the ground. Yeah, buddy, that was tough. And you got to think if he plays, they win, right?
And I had TCU plus 2.5. So that was just like a double
Dude,
dagger right in the
you
heart.
were on the fucking right side. Even with the injury, you were on the right side. Like that was if Hoover doesn't get the strip sack, right? The strip sack was everything. Yeah, unbelievable stuff there. And look, we got one game tonight. The chat's talking about it right now. Shout out to the chat, youtube.com/the college experience. Come be a part of the chat. We welcome you.
Yes.
And you cannot play DFS for the Thursday night slate, but what we can hit you with, and what I'm referring to is the CUSA Classic between Sam Houston State and New Mexico State. All eyes will be glued to Las Cruces and in New Mexico State Memorial Stadium. I mean, look, this should be a rivalry. I can't believe they barely played in their existence. It's a border battle, to quote the great Patty C. I'm currently looking at the props / first touchdown opportunity for the game tonight. Hunter Watson is the quarterback. I think I don't know if you want to define him as quarterback. This guy, Hunter, I apologize in advance, brother. I know you played for them last year and you were part of a 9-win team. So who the fuck am I? I'm just some gap-toothed pile of shit sitting in his garage recording some bullshit. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we got to talk about first off, they've played 3 quarterbacks this year. So it's a little bit of a gamble if you're going with Watson. But Watson is their guy that's thrown for the most yards. However, you've thrown for the most yards, but you are by far the worst with your completion percentage at 55% compared to the backups hitting at 65% and 60%. You also check down Tommy over here because you complete all your passes for 5 yards. You've also yet to throw a touchdown this year, despite starting all 4 games. You have 2 interceptions, but he is the team's leading rusher with 140 yards on the ground. And I know that's that's kind of a terrible stat. Actually, he did miss 1 week to defend him, but the Hawaii game, I believe he missed. Yeah, I mean, the guy on the ground, he had 91 yards and a score against Western Kentucky week 0 when we were watching that one in Vegas, me and Mac. And I was like, yeah, he had I think he had like a 55, 60-yard touchdown that game. Since then, he ran for 17 against UNLV. He did run for 32 against Texas. But I don't have a lot of confidence. I feel like the passing angle might make sense. They had a bye week. Sam Houston's coming off a bye week. Meanwhile, New Mexico State's coming off the Rio Grande rivalry. And I'm thinking perhaps if I'm Phil Longo, we're like, hey man, we got to hit pay dirt in the air. We're going to focus on this, right? Or maybe you could say we got to focus on our rushing attack because our leading rusher, running back wise, is Landon Brown at 98 yards, followed by Elijah Green, who I thought was a monster get in the portal. He has 74 yards on the season. For whatever reason, they can't run the ball. But Elijah Green is their leading receiver by a substantial amount. Dude, their stat, honestly, you look at their offensive stats, it makes my brain hurt. Each thing, whether it's quarterback, whether it's rushing, whether it's receiving, or I'm sorry, passing, rushing, or receiving, each 3, it's like, how's this possible with you playing 4 games?
Yeah.
I mean, their running back is their leading receiver by, like I said, a good amount. They have yet to have a receiver catch for over 100 yards on the season. I'm not talking about in a game. On the season. I mean, they've thrown for 641 yards on the season. I say all of this because you're probably wondering, dude, get to the fucking point. Because I tend to think that they're going to go open up the air attack this game a little bit. But I also tend to think they want to get their running backs actually going this game. And I know I'm just talking, that's both what I'm saying, but Elijah Green, first touchdown is at plus 750. He's their leading receiver. He's someone that was with Phil Longo at North Carolina a couple years ago. But the Landon Brown one's intriguing because he gets more carries. He's plus 1,000 for first touchdown. I think you can do no wrong playing either of these running backs. Now, I am also talking to you as someone who is on Sam Houston State minus 2.5. You can make a case that on the other side of the field, New Mexico State's got 2 wins, even though I believe they are completely phony. Logan Fife, their quarterback, former Montana Grizzlies starting quarterback and Fresno State quarterback. You know, he's the best quarterback in the game passing wise, but I just tend to think there's a hangover after the Rio Grande rivalry. So I will say Elijah Green, and I know NC Nick's on Landon Brown plus 1,000 first touchdown. What are you doing here, man?
Well, you know, kind of adding on to your point, I think Phil Longo has chopped the balls off Hunter Watson. Last year, you know, Hunter Watson, when you watched him play, he was throwing on the run. He was extending plays out of the pocket. He was winging it 20 plus yards down the field. And then all of a sudden, after a good week 1, where I think the offense was humming, you know, they put up 24 points in 3 quarters. They faced UNLV on a Friday, and Hunter Watson takes a sack out of the pocket or takes an 8-yard sack in the backfield. And all of a sudden he's yanking him from the game. And you see Hunter Watson just getting pissed on the sideline. Like, dude, I have no offensive line. I'm trying to make a play. Fuck you. And so immediately I was like, all right, well, let's see what this backup who's going to oblige with everything that Phil Longo is doing looks like. And that was maybe Mature, probably the worst quarterback I've ever seen in Division I football since Deacon Hill was at Iowa. The guy sucks. So now Sam Houston's in a position where their starting quarterback, Hunter Watson, is an absolute gunslinger crazy person who's getting neutered, and they can't go to their backup because the backup sucks. And so we know we're going to see Hunter Watson. We know that he's probably going to be still in kind of that passive state. And I can't buy into Sam Houston until I see they just let the reins off him. So I'm actually going on the other side with New Mexico State.
Sure.
And I'm looking at that target share with Donovan Faupel. And I think from a first touchdown perspective at plus 850, anytime touchdown plus 100, even if this is kind of a firefight type of game, we see the best of Hunter Watson show up in this ground game. I think Faupel is going to have some chances to score. And if they get the ball first, this Sam Houston secondary is not very good. So I think New Mexico State could score some early points.
I will say this. If you're going to play the New Mexico State side, as far as first touchdown or anytime touchdown, Faupel is like their vocal point of their offense. He had 5 for 99 in the Bryant game that I cashed on. He had 8 for 78 in a score against Tulsa. And then last week he had 6 for 97 against the Lobos there. He did not, I'm not sure if he didn't play in the La Tech game or they just locked him down, but he didn't get any stats in the La Tech game. But I like that play just because he's the top receiver from a yardage standpoint, but also from a reception standpoint. So I do like that angle, and they have been terrible at running the ball, by the way. New Mexico State,
Right. Yeah,
they have 157 yards on the ground for the whole season.
Yeah, and looking at Sam Houston on the back end, they have some of the most defensive pass interference penalties. They got burnt in pretty much every single game they've played deep so far. So if the strategy from Mexico State is to not air the ball out, one, I mean, what are we doing here? And two, you would expect to see it early in the scripted stuff that they've been working on all week.
Yeah. No, you're right. And that's why, personally, I think so. Did you bet New Mexico State, by the way?
I think this game is just such a shit show that I didn't, but I think there's points to be had on both sides.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm on pretty heavy on Sam Houston, and the logic is they're winless, and I think New Mexico State is a fool's 2-2. Like,
sure.
Tulsa outgained them, and there's Tulsa on the first drive. Their starting quarterback gets knocked out. They outgained the hell out of them the rest of the game. Tulsa did. with their backup. They just kept fumbling and doing whatever. And then the Bryant game. Don't get me started on the Bryant game because I mean I had the points. I had 19.5 and that thing cashed, but I also took the money line. And Bryant had their opportunities. They had a 4th and goal from the 1. Quarterback fumbles the snap, right? They miss a 20-yard field goal. Like I mean it was a very frustrating money line loss, but at least I hit with the points. But I do believe that New Mexico State is a little bit of fool's gold. I cashed on New Mexico last week. Going up against the Bet Detective there in a lock battle in the Rio Grande rivalry. But yeah, so that's all we got for Thursday. Unless you like any other props. I mean, honestly, I didn't even look at the. I think you have a decent case. Do they have a receiving prop for Falple? Because that would be intriguing. I didn't even look at his because I'm just basing everything on Sam Houston.
Yeah, so DK plus 850 is from our first touchdown of the game, plus 100 anytime touchdown. And if you want to just dabble even with like 2+ touchdowns, plus 600, it's kind of a smashed number. I don't really dabble with 2+ touchdowns unless we're getting like plus 850 or above. But I think it's a reason why it's kind of smashed down. I think he's going to get a lot of looks in the red zone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's just so much a part of their offense that I think you have to.
Yeah.
I think you have to. I like that action. And by the way, Elijah Green, which I am surprised that his first touchdown is at plus 750, knowing Landon Brown has been kind of more of the cowbell, I would say. But he's plus 1,000. So, but I like both because I think Green's probably priced like that because of how well he does out of the backfield.
Correct.
So he's their top. That's probably the difference there. But I think there's value on both of those personally. And 2 touchdowns, Landon Brown at plus 700 for 2 touchdowns. And I get your point. I normally like to go plus 800 there, but that's as close as I could get where I'd feel comfortable. With potentially 2 touchdowns there. All right, shifting to Friday. And Daquan, yes, next week. Let's set something up here. Man, Charles Walker. God bless you, brother. All right, how long that fucking National Guard been in Memphis? What is this? What the fuck's going on?
It's been a weeks.
Can't even they're stopping you just for fucking driving down the road.
You can't have a beer anymore.
That's what I'm saying. You can't even have a beverage and turn on the automobile. Right? There's a limit to that. Mike Gundy was I actually think Mike Gundy, I will defend his statements. I will defend his statements because I think we overreact. Now, he probably shouldn't have said it into a microphone, which I'm doing. But, I just would say, how many people go to a football game? Nowadays, the NFL nowadays the NFL stadiums are all way the fuck out there, right? You go to a Redskins game wherever that's in Landover, that's like it takes the whole fucking day. A lot of those stadiums are like this. From my experience, there's very little NFL stadiums that are actually in the city anymore.
Right.
So my point is you normally get, they'll cut it off there, almost like in baseball. You can't get a drink after the 7th inning, right?
Yep.
So a lot of people are doing the Ollie Gordon where they had 2 or 3 Coronas and then driving home. I'm not going to bullshit you folks. I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah.
You got look, a lot of these ones that like Landover, the fucking train doesn't go there. So you're telling me the entire stadium's taking Uber? Fuck you. I don't buy that. Yeah. I don't buy that. So that's all he was trying to say. That's all he was trying to say is majority of the time, 2 cocktails, not even cocktails, 2 premium beers, maybe cocktails. I mean, I guess depends if you tailgated too, you could add in that. I don't know, but we are ignoring the obvious here, which these games all throughout. I mean, how many of these fucking stadiums in the specifically NFL, but also I guess MLB started to go like if you go to I can tell you this: you go to Dodger Stadium, you're fucked. But if you're going to the Padres, you can make that work. You can walk downtown. You go to the Angels game, you're fucked, right?
And I'll say, as an Iowa guy who went to school at the same time as Tristan Wirfs. You know, I remember he was blacked out at a day party in the summer, and he got into the back of a police car thinking it was an Uber. So even if you do attempt to do the right thing, you could still get arrested.
That's exactly. It's all fucked up, man. It's all fucked up. Dude, my dad was a DC cop back in the day, like retired a long fucking time ago, right? But he tells me stories of in the 70s, like in DC. He was like, if I'd pull over a couple people and they're fucked up, he's like, I'm like, all right, pull your car over, dude. And he would drive them home.
It's right. Yeah. It still happens in small town Iowa. And they'll actually let the drunk person drive home, and they'll just follow behind at 5 miles per hour. Like it still happens everywhere.
I feel like now it's like there's more like they're trying to destroy your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not condoning drinking and driving. I'm just saying like we used to have I guess it mattered how fucked up you were or how nice you were to him. Right? Like if you could just be like, dude, I had a few, you know, he's like, all right, dude, I got you. But you know, nowadays you can't, I feel like, because that shit stays on your record 10 years now. I've never gotten a DUI, thank God, but plenty of my friends have. So anyway, and there's no DFS for that yet.
There's no DFS for DUI over unders.
We're working on that though. We're working on you know, I've always thought it'd be cool if you like once you died in life, if heaven was just like a big fantasy football game with your offspring. You know what I mean? Like, you ever think like that?
If your
like
son,
there,
if your son's successful.
Yeah, it's like, are your kids good? Are they not? And you're like, fuck me, I fucked up.
God
Wouldn't it be hilarious if there was no like just God, and you're just sitting there like this is you did a shitty job. And you're like,
here's your family tree.
First quarter, we're gonna have a fourth quarter comeback here. Watch my grandson. He's gonna invent something fucking big time. All right, so that's what I'm rooting for in my variation of heaven. Shout out to Charles Walker though. God bless you, brother. All right, Fridays action.
Transition.
That's my great transition right there. That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Oh yeah.
Friday slate's pretty fun though. I will say this. When it comes to DK, there's more Friday games than with exception of the first week of the season. I think this is the most Friday games we've had. So that to me just gives you more opportunity to dominate. And just loading up my DK because it made me sign in again. But I fucking hate that. Where are we at here on there we go. Okay. So my lineup is awesome. It's fantastic. And I am heavily, so this might have to align with where you are gambling as far as on what teams. I am fading the Rio Grande, as you heard me just mention. I'm on Sam Houston State against New Mexico State. And in similar vein, I am on San Jose State to knock off the great Jason Eck and the New Mexico Lobos. So I am rostering a quarterback that I thought would be a lot better this year. But here's his opportunity. And I actually think the logic is sound, because if you go back and you look at who gave New Mexico the hardest time this season in their 4 games, other than their one loss, which was Michigan, who they covered on with, but it would be Idaho State. And Idaho State runs the run and shoot, the same offense that San Jose State runs. So Walker Eget is my play. He threw for 473 yards against Stanford last week. So not a bad guy. I don't know if he can duplicate that, but you know, for whatever reason against Idaho, it didn't really work. Just 222 yards. Texas only 184 yards. Backup got some shine in that game too. But against Central Michigan, he threw for 308. So I think he's a little underpriced at 8,300 considering what we know the final 6 games of last year and this. So what are you doing here with the quarterback spot?
Yeah, I also included Walker Eget in my lineup, and to your point, like San Jose State 1-3. That's a terrible looking record from an optics standpoint, but they're 4 points cumulative away from being 3-1. And Walker Eget also has kind of been, I don't want to say the guy to blame for why they've been losing those games, but turnover certainly hurt. At the same time, he's putting up the points on offense to actually have the, enough ammunition to win those games as well. So it's a give and take. And yeah, Walker Eget, to your point, 8,300, reasonable bargain price. And he is 100% a guy that just from a pure raw talent standpoint can go out there and I think put up numbers against any offense or any defense rather.
Yeah. And what's interesting, man, is, did you roster 2 quarterbacks?
I did. Yep.
So for the second quarterback, because of money, I'm curious what you did here. I just built my first quarterback first. I mean, on some lineups like Saturdays, I go with 2 quarterbacks first most times. Then I build my roster around that. But this was interesting because I basically have 7,800 left over when I got to quarterback spot, the second quarterback spot. And I had to play that game of who do I want? They give you a couple options. You could potentially go with Bachmeier or BYU, but I don't know. There's a chance that game script could go, you probably want to get some depth if they're up big. Bachmeier, they run a lot. So there's a chance at some point this season he could get dinged up. You probably want to get the backups in there.
Yeah.
And then, so to me, what it came down to for me was I was looking at Jaden Donegal, the Michigan transfer for San Diego State, or going back to the San Jose game, Jack Layne for New Mexico. And the one thing I just couldn't get past was how bad San Jose State's defense has been this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with Jack Layne, who's coming off his best game of the season. Now, is it a classic letdown spot potentially? Sure. It's a rivalry game, but he just threw for 303 yards and 4 touchdowns. He also had another 13 on the ground. But I ended up going with Jack Layne at 7,500. The Donegal one is interesting because he has had some games where he's played all right. Specifically, I think it was the Stony Brook game to open the season. He had a pretty good game. But what'd you do at the second quarterback spot?
We are perfectly aligned. I also went with Jack Layne, and it just kind of goes to your point of San Jose State's defense. If you're giving up 444 passing yards to Branson from Stanford, you are one of the worst defenses in the country inherently. So
that is unbelievable. I don't even understand how they return. My brain hurts when I think about.
Yeah.
It's does people get more tape on what they were running last year? I don't know how they're this bad.
I really don't know. And I guess maybe the portal and I know they were a team that got hit with some graduations and some key spots. So maybe, it wasn't necessarily the volume. It was just taking out good players from key positions. But yeah, everybody was open on those final couple Stanford drives in the back end of the game. And, it felt like garbage time, but it really ended up not being garbage time and ended up being let's win the game time.
Dude, I have a lot of money on San Jose State to win to make the Mountain West Championship game. I also have money to win the Mountain West Championship, which they haven't played a game yet in the Mountain West. But I also have a lot of money on over 7.5 wins, and I don't. Watching that game, I was just like, God, it's not going to hit. So yeah, we have the same quarterbacks. All right, well that has me very intrigued. Then, at the running back spot, I did pay up. This is kind of the chalkier play. I think I only did 2 running backs, by the way. But L.J. Martin, BYU's running back, was the play. I know he got dinged up for a little bit in that Colorado game, but West Virginia to me, especially coming all the way on the road, and they just seem to be, I think I would say,
dead.
They look like by far the worst team in the Big 12. And if you look back, L.J. Martin actually, I know he got dinged up, but he still had 15 carries in that Colorado game, and it was his worst game of the season. He's gotten over 100 yards in every other game, so I think he'll go back to that Friday night here. So yeah, L.J. Martin at 7,200. out of El Paso, Texas. What'd you do with the running back spot?
Well, we're kind of just following each other at this point because yeah, I'm on LJ Martin too, and a lot of it comes down to, I think, game script, where you look at West Virginia. This is a team that is dead, and I don't think they're going to score because they don't score, and I think on the other side, BYU can do whatever they want. Bear Bachmeier could go out there and chuck 500 yards passing. They could also run for 300 yards on the ground. It's just a matter of kind of finding that pocket of, okay, if it is a blowout, do they still pass? I don't think so, because Bear Bachmeier is so involved in the ground game that they probably just go that direction. And, you know, I do think LJ Martin's going to be probably good for a couple touchdowns in this game as well.
Yeah, actually, and we'll get to that in a second because I have something for that. But yeah, no, I agree. Look, me and NC Nick, we were doing the show over the past couple of years. A lot of times there'd be certain, weekday slates where I felt like we had the fucking almost the entire set. Like I think one player off maybe. But yeah, it seems to be we're on a path like that here. Folks, want to tell you that the College Football Experience DFS show is brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on football, and everything else. Their prop builder is second to none, and their motto is bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. You can easily deposit, get lightning fast payouts using crypto. Head on over to MyBookie.ag, and when we do, use our promo code TCESGPN for 100% bet back bonus up to $500 for new customers. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by NoVig. NoVig is America's #1 sports prediction market. And since NoVig is an exchange, you're getting some of the best prices in the market. NoVig's available in 35 different states. Download the NoVig app and get $50 when you spend $5 if you use our promo code. That is SGPN, that promo code. So get in on the action with NoVig, promo code SGPN. All right, we are back. Daquan, you're at work. What do you do, dude? Because he's saying right now I'm at work listening to this is hilarious. I hope I'm not getting you fired. But depends. You should have let me know that ahead of time. All right, because that whole drinking thing, I was just joking. But I'm just saying, when you have 100,000 people or 70,000 people at the fucking Meadowlands or wherever, you know what I mean? If you go to Bank of America Stadium, there's no fucking train that goes there. So I find they're a lot like the NCAA, these lawmakers, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of similarities that you would think this would just be an easy fix. Just put the train right there. Like when you go to the Garden in New York City, ain't no one driving fucking out of New York City fucked up at the Garden. Very rarely, I would bet. Mm-hmm. Now you have a bunch of people fucked up on the train, 100%, right? But my point is they do this shit where they take, and they're gonna be doing it with the Bears in Arlington Heights or whatever. Good luck. And if you really wanted to police it, just like the NCAA, if you really wanted to police it, put the fucking DUI checkpoint in the fucking parking lot. All right. You can cut it off third quarter, but if you had the checkpoint coming out of the parking lot, you would stop it all if you really wanted to stop it. But that it's that you are fucking your customer when you even offer beer when you're out in the middle of nowhere, because they're going to be drinking it, and and they're not even going to be drunk, but technically they'll be right on the fence of that 0.08, and there will be some people that will be absolute shit faced. But
Colby, I want to push back in that because I don't believe anybody drinks at sporting events ever.
Yeah. Isn't that a spot? It's like church, right? Sobriety, right?
Yeah,
sobriety.
All just a bunch of good, hearted Christians out there.
All those fights we see every Sunday when someone's filming these days with these camera phones, those are all just because of just religious differences, right?
Yeah,
they're still watching the game. One person says they like Jesus, other person says, fuck him, and then they just start going at it. Right? I'm just saying, you ever look at that and think why? I think about stuff like that. That in my fantasy football team offspring, that's the type of shit I think about. All right.
The logistics of Colby's life.
Yes. And I go into deep concentration sometime about that. I'm just like, what is the point of all of this? Right. It's gotta be our fantasy football. It's gotta be, there's gotta be, like, if you're just thrown here on planet Earth, there has to be some type of gambling from the next level. right? There's gotta be. It's like running. You ever seen Running Man with Schwarzenegger? You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah, that was a smaller variation of it to a certain extent. But I'm saying there's someone probably doing that. The master or masters above, pushing buttons, figuring shit out.
Yep. We just bow to the betting god at the end of the day.
100%. That's why I'm working with White Tiger, my son. Figuring shit out because I want him to be I want them to say, damn, this Dundee motherfucker, he might have been an idiot a lot of his life, but he figured this shit out fantasy human wise, right?
Yep.
Thank you. Subscribe to the College Football Experience. We're in the middle of giving away our lineups. Look for Friday, and I have a running back that I like, that I think is undervalued. And I'm sure you played him.
At this point, Actually, let me lead this one, and we will see.
Go fire away.
I went to the South Florida Charlotte game, and I took Alvin Isaac at 4,400.
We're on a different side here, but explain your logic.
So Alvin Isaac is one of those dudes who I think because of game script and some of these blowouts, and also with the games that were super competitive, and they've already had a couple blowouts. They've had a couple games that were blowouts in both directions. They blew out Boise State. They blew out the FCS they played. They got blown out by Miami. And I feel like Alvin Isaac kind of got taken out of the fold a little bit more than what I think his talent dictates. He is such a shifty guy, great pass catcher out of the backfield, but ultimately I want to see him get 15 to 20 touches and just go off, because I do think he's a guy who could rack up a ton of yards. And 4,400, I think it's more just indicative or kind of a reflection of the lack of production so far, not necessarily the production to come.
And what they're saying potential rain, right? So that might help.
Exactly
that
right.
Might help being a stronger emphasis on the rush attack. Look, I didn't go that route, but I might need to turn into a second lineup. I went to, and this is I think maybe a little bit more of a gamble than yours, but DJ McKinney, the running back for New Mexico. So New Mexico, Jason X, a former Wisconsin Badger offensive lineman, they like fucking pounding the rock. Scott Ray Humphrey is, I believe, their starter that came in from Montana State, all FCS first team running back. He has 47 carries for 263 yards on the season and 3 touchdowns. But they also have Damon Bankston, but he only has 34 carries. And then DJ McKinney, their third running back, has 41 carries. Now he has the least amount of yards because he is kind of their home run threat in a way. But he does also have a passing touchdown in that UCLA game, I believe. But here's the thing that I like is his rushes have increased with each almost. So week 1, he had 2 rushes for 5 yards against Michigan. Against Idaho State, 7 for 45. Then against UCLA, 21 for 89 and a score. And then last week, just 11 for 36. But as I was alluding to, first off, he's had catches in every game, and his most catches came last week. But he's also kind of their home run threat. So this is why it's the bigger gamble. This motherfucker's fast, right? He's fast, and to me, if the other guys are kind of the more like, yeah, okay, you're going to get some solid yards here, but this dude has the potential to break one for 70 yards here. So, 3,300, by the way, 3,300 bargain shopping. All right.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit more of a gamble, but it's worth the shot. Just against San Jose State's defense, which has looked fucking terrible. All you need is one big play from McKinney. I wonder what his anytime touchdown prop is too. But so that's all the running backs I did. I did 2. How many running backs did you do?
So I did 3, and the next one's in my flex spot. I'm going back to Lloyd Avant from Colorado State. It's now been 2 weeks in a row where I think, one, the volume kind of dictates playing him. He's getting in the end zone. He's getting featured a lot in the red zone as well, because he's kind of he's a smaller back, but he's a bulky back, and they almost kind of like having that bouncing ability near the goal line. And once again, he's just kind of showing up well on the ground in terms of efficient runs, in terms of real football terms. And he's also getting more and more involved in the passing attack. And Colorado State, they are, we talked about last week, a very odd team. But eventually I feel like that offense is going to have a little bit of a flutter and make us feel something. And I think Lloyd Avant is going to be one of those focal points when it does.
Well, I mean, the Rocky Beers play did not work out. 1 catch, 10 yards last week, tight end spot. So I look at this point, I don't want anything to do with their receiving. I know they run the variation of the air raid, but with Matt Mummy there as OC, but yeah, I think if I was going to take anybody on that offense, it would be him. So there is that. All right. Receiver wise, Friday night action. I loaded up here. This is one that I like to take pride in, knowing that week 1 against Central Michigan, I gave him out for I had the higher on his props, and it destroyed. But also I was on TV saying, watch out, this dude's going to be nasty. And he was nasty. And Danny Scudero, the Sacramento State Hornet transfer, he's nasty. And look at what he did against Central Michigan: 9 for 189 and a touchdown. Against Texas, a game he got knocked out of, 7 for 60, and he got knocked out in the first half. Right? Against Idaho, 6 for 130, 22 yards a catch. Against Stanford, 11 for 135 and 2 touchdowns. In fact, while I'm here right now, because I haven't done this yet, where the hell I need to see about in-game touchdowns here, because I do think Scudero
ends up with 3.
That's about to say, damn, it's only plus 330 for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, they've fucking adapted, man, early on. And this is why, a lot of people, I was talking to my guy Hoops Peterson, shout out to Hoops, I know we both know him. And he was telling me, I don't know, I don't find much value in the media days. And I was like, yeah, more power to you. I mean, there are a lot of coach speak, so there's a lot of dumb shit you can hear, but there's also, in my opinion, there's some gems. Danny Scudero was one I learned from Ken Niumatalolo. Talking to him was like, he was like, man, he's like, I got this kid from Sac State, because I was highlighting a Purdue transfer they brought in at the receiver spot. He goes, this kid from Sac State's going to be nasty. And I bought into it. So there is, in my opinion, that you can find little value, especially if you find a coach you can actually trust.
Right,
some
that's
of them are doing shtick. But Ken Niumatalolo is just a cool fucking dude. He's just like, I just don't feel like he's bullshitting you. So yeah, Scudero. Did you roster Scudero?
100%. And kind of to that point, it almost reminds me of, what last year was Nick Nash, right? For San Jose State, where he was carving up 180 every single game. And the reason why is Ken Niumatalolo, this offense is timing based as hell. The ball's out in 2 seconds. And that's where I think kind of gets Walker Eget in some trouble, is he's throwing it regardless. He's hitting his read if it feels like it has a sliver. And he's also pushing the ball downfield. And the only guy that there's 2 guys I think in this offense right now that he's pushing the ball downfield to, but the guy who's involved as a number 1 option on every single play for the most part is Danny Scudero. And if you're on a slate like this and you're not rostering him at a $7,200 price, I feel like you're missing the boat on one of the more obvious plays on the board here.
Yeah, you're right. And I stacked him. I'm just you brought up the to me, they run the run and shoot.
Yeah, they do.
It's Stutzman is from Hawaii. Their OC. He's a very good offense coordinator. I think he'll be a head coach one day. But you want to get value on these wideouts. This is not a disrespect to Jason Eck. This is just how many times they're going to commit to passing the ball. Yeah. And I stacked Scudero with Kyrie Scholes. Shout out to Dr. Scholes here coming in from Las Vegas. You whiffed on him, Barry Odom. But 10 for 147 and a touchdown last week. And this is one early that I did not think, against Central Michigan, he barely got on the field. And then the Texas game, he had 8 for 73. The Idaho game, 3 for 35 and a touchdown. And then last week, 10 for 1. So I feel like he's building that chemistry. And the more attention Scudero gets, the more I think Scholes can be a factor. So Kyrie Scholes, and then look, going back to the anytime touchdown. Yeah. With this many targets he's got, It's an intriguing thought. Plus 1,000 first score, also plus 700 2 touchdowns in that game. The reason why I mentioned that is because he scored in the a touchdown in the past 2 weeks, or past 2 games, I should say. Did you roster Dr. Scholes?
Yeah, and I think in large part we saw it last week when they were in a competitive game what his role in the offense is going to be, because prior to last week his highest target rate was 9, and all the other times before that it was 4, it was 3. He wasn't even involved in some of these games because I think he sat out with injury. Last week it jumped up to 12 in a competitive game, and that was a game that also they led on the back end and could have kind of gone with game flow and ran the ball out, but again, Numatalolo is not a coward. This is a guy who's going to step on the gas and try to beat a team, especially a team that he thinks maybe he's a little bit inferior than on the defensive side of the ball. And so, yeah, I think Scholes is 100% a great play. And I don't know where you got it. I'm guessing the same number, 4,700. Like, yeah. That's one of the ones that I think you can take a first time, anytime touchdown on. And looking at those odds, plus 1,000 on the first TD, plus 105 for any time. I think both of those are really strong plays.
Yeah, no, 100%. So our lineup's very similar, minus one guy right now. Let's see if we can continue on that journey, because I'm staying in the same fucking game because San Jose State's defense is trash. I mean, Dorian Thomas, this tight end that came over from Arizona. Someone just did. Was that The Athletic that just did an article on him? Someone just dropped an article on him, emerging, catching the eye of NFL scouts. 24 receptions, 247 yards, 3 touchdowns on the season thus far. And look, this is a guy that had 10 catches and 2 touchdowns against Michigan's defense last week in the Rio Grande rivalry. 6 for 79 and a score. This dude's a fucking beast. So I rostered Dorian Thomas at 6K. I think X going to continue to work him in the mix, especially with the games where my variation of this game of like the game script of San Jose State's going to be out early. I expect New Mexico to be a little bit hungover, which means they're going to have to pass, more and more, which is kind of why I like McKinney out of the backfield as well. Did you roster Dorian Thomas?
I did not, but I that was one that I considered. Yes, finally, good God. But the other one I was looking in that game was actually Keegan Johnson, former Iowa Hawkeye, former Kansas State. Ultimately, I decided to take a little bit of a stab actually in the USF kind of angle, and this one was a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more unorthodox because obviously a little bit of rain on the horizon, and also they have a number of wide receivers. And again, there's been a lot of game flow things with USF this year that I don't think are truly indicative of how they want to play. But I think in the rain, you want to throw it to the guy who's going to be able to catch the ball the most effectively. And their best possession receiver is actually Keyshawn Singleton, not Nimrod, who's kind of that deep threat guy. And yeah, the target share is there. I think the game flow is going to be there for them to continue to air the ball out in that early part of the game and get those touchdowns in the red zone. Go ahead and give me Keyshawn Singleton at 5,500. And I still got a number of
page. We're on the same page. When I did my South Florida preview, and I must apologize because I'm drawing a blank on my guest that covers the team. But he highlighted, he was like, this dude Singleton that we brought in is balling out in camp. And you saw it out the gate when they played Boise. He had a big game against Boise. He had 5 for 93 and a score. Against Florida, he was there. He was the guy that really broke that open for South Florida to get that lead that put the pressure on the Gators. Past 2 weeks, I don't look much into the South Carolina State game. They were up so many points early that I was whatever. I'm with you. That's my last guy actually. So you better give away your next wideout. But I do. And by the way, Singleton, I believe is plus 700 first touchdown. Obviously pay attention to the weather because if it matters when it's going to rain, because if it's raining out the gate, I don't know if I like the first touchdown prop. So anyway, who's your last guy?
So actually that was my last guy just because I went with on the flex, Lloyd Avant. Running back at Colorado State. Yep.
All right. Well, folks, look, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog's a great place to play fantasy pick'em. You're going to hear me talk about that in a second. You can win up to 500 times the amount of money you enter. Simply pick higher or lower in your favorite player stats. It's available in a ton of different sports. So jump in on the action. Also, Underdog's got a brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5, get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code TCE. SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm is off to a great start in college football and NFL. And look, Rhythm has just introduced a leaderboard with weekly cash prizes just for tracking your bets in the app. Track five bets from the same from any model that you build, and you could win $1,000. So jump on over there. Use the promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app. That's RITHMM. And we're gonna give you 25% off your first month. So what are you doing? Download Rhythm, promo code SGPN25. All right, we are back, and I want to touch. We just did a read for Underdog Fantasy. They're fantastic. You need to check them out if you haven't. Promo code TCE SGPN. But one of the things I'm doing Friday night, Underdog Fantasy wise. If this can load up again without having do I got to put my social? Do I got to put my social in this? But look, I'm just gonna get while this is taking a time to think. I believe it's Bear Bachmeyer, and I have it. Why is this not loading right now? I think I have it as if memory serves me correct. I think it's 17 and a half or 18 and a half. Longest rush. That up there. Why is mine
14 and a half is the longest rush now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's probably what it is. And I just can't remember anything, but, so I think that's a smash play. Cause even if the game, like I was a little bit worried about rostering him DFS wise, cause game script, right? But this is a guy that has had a 16-yard rush in the past 2 weeks. Okay, against Stanford, he only had a 9-yard run. He's very mobile. I think he's starting to feel more confident with running the ball, and you could tell because he ran for 98 yards against Colorado. That was by far his biggest output. He had 15 rushes. I kind of expect that to be his game moving forward. So I will take the higher on that. Another thing is West Virginia's defense. Their DC, came over from Oklahoma. They like to pressure. They send, they blitz. When you blitz, that opens up an opportunity to run if it can get picked up by the running back or, if you blitz the wrong side, shit like that. So I'm taking Bachmeyer on that right there. And I don't know why my thing's not loading right now, but I believe I paired that with anytime touchdown over a half with LJ Martin.
I actually took this is gonna be kind of funny. I took a kicker prop in the on underdog for West Virginia, Cade Hensley over or higher rather than 4.5 kicking points. I don't think that West Virginia is going to find the end zone a whole lot in this game, and I think they're going to settle on just the moral victory side of things. And if we get 2 field goal makes or 2 touchdowns and a field goal with 2 extra points, we go over that, or we go higher than that 4.5 kicking points. And I think that's probably my favorite angle in that ball game.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'm sorry I can't. I have another underdog lineup for Saturday too, but for whatever reason, the app is that right now. So
it hates you, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened here. Maybe it's just the reception. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. Going back to the Saturday slate, DFS wise. Saturday day, just curious. I normally would always ask NC Nick this. Saturday day, Saturday night, Friday night. We didn't turn into Thursday DFS because there's only one game. Mm-hmm. But which one did you find like the one where you're like, oh hell yeah?
11 a.m. to 2:30 Central. That is just because Yeah, no, I actually joined a $100 entry league this week. And I'm very excited about it because I think there's a lot of really strong angles in there and a lot of mispriced guys. So yeah, I'm very, very excited.
I'm excited too, and I'm also excited that my phone is stuck on the Underdog Fantasy, so I cannot even get to anything right now. This is really backfiring here.
It's only the DFS show, Colby.
I know, and I have my lineups right here. This is yeah, I mean, perfect.
Yeah.
Isn't this how I'm supposed to turn the phone off? By holding both?
Tech support with Rob, this segment.
Yeah.
So I think you hold down the power button and the volume up button at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, your phone's toast.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened here.
First it was the iPad, then it was the cell phone.
This is just fantastic stuff here, as it's just a blank yellow screen. Unbelievable. All right, well, isn't life fun? Yeah, Saturday. You see, I was trying to, as a professional host, is what they say. I was trying to create banter to carry on with this problem, but I can't get out of this fucking problem right now. So Saturday morning, why don't you fire off with who you went with at quarterback?
Yeah, so I went with 2 quarterbacks. And last week I jumped back in on Illinois, thinking it was a buy point on that offense, and went Luke Altmaier, went Hank Beatty. Those were home runs because Luke Altmaier posted 40.2 fantasy points after posting only 7.1 the week prior against Indiana. Felt like that would be the case, and I do think until his number kind of rises back into that 9,000 territory, Luke Altmaier is going to be a really smash play against teams like Purdue that try to win on the offensive side, but not really defensively. And from that standpoint, 8,300 on Luke Altmaier. He was one that I 100% wanted to have in there. And the other one was Cade Klubnik because Clemson's a mess. I get it, but there is always a buy point on all these teams with enough talent. This isn't Sam Houston State. This isn't, Kentucky, where it's like, okay, maybe they just never figure out the offensive side of the ball. No, Clemson eventually will be able to move the ball efficiently. And I think we're probably getting the best number on Cade Klubnik of the season so far at 8,000. And so at my second QB spot, I went ahead and added Cade Klubnik in there, and I feel pretty good about it there.
Yeah, no, so with the Underdog Fantasy, I took Klubnik over or higher than 1.5 passing. I recall that, even though I can't get in there. So check out that one there. But as far as my quarterbacks, I think I'm finally getting out of here. It's loading up right now. Yeah, I like those plays. You're a Big Ten specialist, so Altmaier. I'll trust. I mean, Purdue's defense, they haven't been really good over the past couple of years. I feel like Odom's got them improving, but still, I kind of expect that game to be it was a crazy game last year. It was what, like 51-50 or something crazy.
Yeah, went to double OT or single OT, and even the dynamic of Odom and kind of what he's bringing over, they've looked really actually, I think, efficient on the offensive side of the ball, but their offensive possessions, even when they're putting up points, are really, really fast. And I like those really, really fast things because it reminds me of like old school Art Briles Baylor, where, they are essentially scoring it so fast and there's so many snaps in the game that offensive yardage is inherent. And yeah, when you're looking at that game and how Purdue plays football, I think Illinois is going to have a lot of chances to move the ball just because of the number of snaps.
Yeah. So at the who I did at quarterback, I do remember, even though I can't get in right now, is Miller Moss. If you heard my handicap I'm all over this this UVA Louisville game. I have a lot of money on the Cards laying the points. Miller Moss. I think UVA's pass defense is actually terrible. They just haven't played a lot of teams that can exploit it. Castellanos is not a guy that you'll sit back and drop, you drop back and throw the ball. And same can be said with the kid at William & Mary and the kid at Coastal that came in. So I tend to think their pass defense is way worse than what we think. So I'm loading up on the cards. I actually stacked him with Chandler Morris too, because I think Louisville's defense is still the weak point of that team under Ron English. So I did stack him with the 7-year quarterback there, Chandler Morris.
And Miller Moss 7,900, Chandler Morris 6,700. And yeah, to your point, last week for Virginia, Tommy Castellanos has another touchdown if that kid catches the ball in the end zone. So yeah. I'm right there with you.
At the running back spot, and look, you're going to hear me bring this up because I don't have the right now. I'm still having technical difficulties, but I went with Isaac Brown, the running back for Louisville, because once again, he's so good out of the backfield too. I feel like in this game, I fully expect the over to hit in this game as well. I forget what that number is, but Isaac Brown would be the running back that I am playing. What are you doing here at the running back spot?
Yeah, so I actually stayed in the Big 12 with both of my running backs. Only 2 running backs in this window for me. And I led off with Dylan Edwards. He was my highest priced. I just feel like the Dylan Edwards breakout game is bound to happen eventually. And even though, when you're looking at how he performed last week, it was a really, really good game. Obviously 20 touches, 166 on the ground. I think that crazy explosive game where he's also utilizing the passing game is going to be coming. And against Baylor, a team that just got absolutely bludgeoned by Raleek Brown for Arizona State, who I rostered. I think he put up 43.5 fantasy points last week on Friday. I think Dylan Edwards could be in a very, very similar vein, just even maybe even a step above what Raleek Brown did. So I went Dylan Edwards. And then for my second Big 12 running back, I went Ishmael Mahdi. He obviously Texas State transfer, loved him at Texas State last year. And he's had kind of these pockets of some really good games, but again, he's just like ultimate wild card where there's a nice little floor, but there's a ceiling of like 30, 40 points. And I kind of wanted that explosiveness against a lifeless corpse that is Oklahoma State at this point.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully this works here. But Mahdi is a beast. Gosh, man, what is happening? What is happening right now? I'm telling you, man, the past 24 hours has been fucking with me. Technology's been fucking with me.
The establishment is trying to shut down this show.
I don't know look at this. That's my screen right now. It's just blank. My background, that's supposed to be a picture of my son. And it's just, hey, like either that or the medicine that I took is really kicking in. Yeah, I wish I could remember my second running back here. Let me see if I can load up, but yeah, I mean, I know I'm heavy in that game. I'm trying to think. I think I took. Oh no, you know that. Wait, is the UCF slate then at night?
The UCF
slate's at night.
Yes, yeah. UCF Kansas is at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern.
Okay, yeah, I can't. So I'm trying to remember because I think I rostered a second running back. I'm fairly certain they make you. I just can't fucking remember right now who is my second running back. Oh, you know what it is? It's the Notre Dame game. Is that the same slate or is that night?
Let's take a look here. Notre Dame and Boise is in this 2:30 slate. So if you're thinking like, Love or
no, I went with Price because it seems like Price has kind of been the one to like I had Love last week and I lost money on the underdog side of things, even though he was a beast out of the backfield. I mean, he's still a beast regardless. Let's not bullshit each other. But Jadarian Price, they seem to be to me like. I mean, he had what? He was there. What do you have? 13 rushes last week, I think it was.
For 81, yeah.
And then he had the big catch for out of the backfield for a touchdown, which was like a 40-yarder. So I went with him. Boise's defense is not as good as it was a year ago. You look around, they lost a couple guys in the portal, a couple guys to graduation. That's the logic there. Did you roster anyone in this game?
I did not, but I definitely see that angle, especially with Notre Dame fucking around the way that they are, just saying, hey, let's score as many points as we can for style purposes. And, if you have athletes, you might as well use them regardless of if you're up 50 or if you're in a competitive ball game. So, yeah, I think Price is a really, really solid floor in this one.
Yeah, and I also stacked him with Faizan, the receiver that I think, because I think CJ Carr, he looks really good, dude.
He does.
Like he should have been getting all the hype that Arch got. He looks like he's gonna be a fucking baller, like top 5 pick in the NFL draft. So I went with Faizan here. Once again, Boise's defense is, and I'm on Boise plus 20.5, but I still think that's just, they're going to be able to score a lot. So Faizan there was my play at receiver. I'm sorry I don't have the pricing because my phone is dead. Look at my screen, dude. It's just black. Fucking completely.
We're losing colors
black
as it goes.
Yeah. I don't understand it. But who did you roster? And I obviously paired him just with Chris Bell. I think we both took Chris Bell for Louisville. I honestly thought about Kyron Lacey as well. Wait, Kyron Lacey. Yeah, Colin Lacey.
Yep.
Colin Lacey. Yep. Yeah. Anyway, that's one of my receivers there. And who else did you have at the receiver spot or running back spot? Did you go through all your running backs?
Yes. I only had 2 running backs, Ishmael Mahdi, and I had Dylan Edwards as my 2. And they're both Big 12 guys. And honestly, in this slate, I found a lot more value taking like those long shot stabs at wide receivers. And to the chat's point, I can't remember who, I think it was Matthew Austin, that brought it up. Chris Bell, guy's a dog. And he's also getting the target share that warrants, playing him until he can't produce anymore, because 16 targets last week is an absurd number. And that was a game that, against Pitt, they were competitive all the way through. But once again, I think we're having a game here with Louisville and Virginia where we're seeing everybody going to be kind of scoring points. And I think it's going to be competitive all the way through. And Virginia's defense doesn't look good. Louisville's defense doesn't look good. But Louisville's offense is finally starting to pick it up a little bit more. And I went ahead and bought in on Chris Bell at 7,100 there.
I like it. Man. So those are my wideouts. I feel like I definitely took someone else. But ain't that a bitch about life? But anyway, so give out the rest of your team for this for this slate.
So I bought in a little bit on Diego Pavia's passing attack against Bama here, and I'm not thinking that Vandy's actually going to win this game. I would actually be on the other side of the spread and lay with Bama. Personally, didn't bet it, but I think the game flow is going to dictate Vanderbilt to pass the ball throughout the game, whether it's competitive or whether they're trailing by 14 or, a couple touchdowns and a field goal early, whatever it may be. And Junior Sherrill at 3,500, this one is a little bit scary because he's only getting in during these blowouts or at least getting the volume on the back end of these blowouts, which is like, all right, maybe he's not kind of the guy you want to trust early on. At the same time, he is such a deep threat. The targets are starting to get there. And last week, for a guy who's being priced at 3,500, he put up 33.1 points. I don't think you just go away from a guy because you're like, oh, he's our guy that torches the backups. No, I think when a guy torches the backups, you want to find reps for him early on. And so 3,500, I think if you're looking at his production overall during the course of the season, sure. But if you're kind of looking at it in a vacuum over the past couple of weeks, targets are up, production is up, and I think at 3,500, that's a really good price. Then I actually looked at, and you were going to say something?
No, I was going to say, I remembered. I'm glad you brought that up with the Bama Vandy game. I know my last player I rostered was Jeremy Bernard. Even though his production has kind of gone down as the season's gone along, some of that maybe. He had 5 for 35 in a score last week, but compared to Florida State, the game out the gate, 8 for 146. But he's still the team's leading receiver from a reception standpoint, from a yard standpoint, and I believe from a touchdowns and target standpoint. So, I think Vandy's going to stay in that game and cover. We differ there, but I do think when I look at Vandy, what's the weakness? I think Alabama has to get the ball on the outside, and I think they will have some matchups there with Williams So you can do no wrong to me on these Bama wideouts against the Vandy corners. So I do remember rostering him despite me not being able to see my lineup.
Rock on. No, and that was one that you got right over me last week where I went with Ryan Williams, you went with Jeremy Bernard, and Bernard I think is just more so the focal point because the other team is taking away Ryan Williams for whatever reason. And there was actually something funny where I don't know if this is valid, but it was as a snapshot, picture of a text chain. And I guess Ryan Williams is not happy with DeBoer at this time. He's like, hey, I'm going to get my bag in the offseason, acting like he's going to transfer. So we'll see where that goes.
He pulls a Caleb Downs and just goes to Ohio State. Just filthy.
It'd be just fantastic for the storylines.
But yeah, I mean, look, I think that's my whole team. I'm probably missing out on one player. My apologies on the technical difficulties. We're still staring at a blank fucking screen. It's on right now too. It's on and staring at a blank screen. So this is just going great. Let's get to the next spot here. Once again, I don't remember the underdog side of this, but the night slate. Well, I actually think this might have been my favorite slate, even though I'm all over that Virginia Louisville game. The night slate, I think there's a ton of value on Jalon Daniels, the quarterback of Kansas. Yeah. Like, okay, maybe they lose to UCF because that place is underrated, I would say, as a home field edge, but I don't care. UCF's not good enough defensively for him not to have a great day. The only thing that could burn you here is him getting injured. So I stacked him too with my receiver from Bama, Henderson, that transferred in. And I actually stacked him with LaShawn Williams, the former Iowa running back, because we know Heshaw is out. So 3 guys in that particular game against UCF. And I also added UCF's running back. What is it? Is it Johnny Richardson? Is it? I'm trying to remember his name. Let me see if I can get that. UCF's top running back I also put in here too, because Kansas defense has not been fantastic as well. Miles Montgomery, Johnny Richardson probably from last year. Miles Montgomery is who I went with out of Jacksonville. He had 10 for 119 against K-State last week. I expect him to continue to be in the mix. So those, I know I'm just firing off my roster, which is out of character compared to what we normally do. But since I can't view it, this is the best I can do here. Who did you go with in this game or on this slate?
We had a very similar pairing with Jalon Daniels and LaShawn Williams. I think when you're looking at LaShawn, what I really love about these types of scenarios is you have a back that was so efficient as the backup spell guy, pass catcher out of the backfield. And so how does that affect him when he becomes the focal point of the rushing attack? Sometimes he'd be terrible. And that could potentially be what ends up playing out here. But this won't be LaShawn Williams' first time being that lion's share of the carries type of guy. He was that at Iowa for multiple games. And I do feel like we've already kind of seen him blossom at Kansas with this kind of run and shoot offense that they do and a lot of spread variations, him running wheel routes. I think he's going to be heavily involved. And I think Jalon Daniels is going to have a really nice game too. So yeah, 8,100 for Jalon Daniels, 4,800 for LaShawn Williams. That could be, I think, a weak winner for some of these, lineups that we submit.
Yeah.
But the most expensive running back that I actually went with was in that A&M Mississippi State game. I went with Le'Veon Moss.
I got him too.
He's incredible, man. Yeah. I think if you're just looking from a pure running standpoint, I think he's probably one of the best pure runners in college football right now.
Is awesome too.
It's so good. Oh gosh, I'm going to see them. Actually, I'm going to that Texas A&M Florida game here in a week. So I'm going to be sitting on the 50 and I'm going to be cheering on the Aggies. And I think Le'Veon Moss is going to have a really good chance to bust off a Heisman campaign here on the back end as well.
Yeah, hell yeah. I actually stacked him now that you thank you for bringing this up. I stacked him with a second quarterback as Marcell Reed.
I love that.
I couldn't remember. I'm like, I don't even remember what the fuck the night slates are. But my second quarterback is Marcell Reed. So thank you for helping me out there. I did not take KC Concepcion, even though he's a beast there wide out there. Did you roster Marcell Reed? Because I know you have before.
I love Marcell Reed. I actually have a Heisman future ticket at plus, I think 20,000 right now that I'm feeling really, really good about. But I actually went with a very underrated or like a lower price quarterback, I think, on my second quarterback spot. With Texas Tech Houston route, went Connor Weigman. And when you're looking at Houston, yeah, I don't know if they're going to win this game. I don't even know if they're going to be relatively competitive from a spread standpoint. But this isn't going to be the best defense that Connor Weigman's faced in college football. And at the very least, they're going to be airing it out until they go down swinging. And at 7,000 as sort of a quarterback that could have a really nice day, almost like Chandler Morris last week against Florida State, I thought that was one of the ones I really felt good about there.
Yeah. No, I like it. Now I am on the Texas Tech side there, but so I'll be rooting against you, of course. But yeah, I think it's a solid play. And does that conclude your lineup?
No, so actually I went with, I'm just going to list off my 3 receivers here that I have.
Sure.
I did go KC Concepcion at 6,000. The target share, the talent, I think he could put up some serious numbers in this game. I also stuck with that Houston offensive side and got Tanner Koziol. A number of different ways you could go here, but he seems to get the most consistent target share. And again, I think Houston's going to be playing from behind most of this game, kind of like FAU Memphis last week, where we saw FAU's passing attack really have a good fantasy day. I think it could be very similar here. And then I went to Miami, Florida State, a little bit of a shot, a little bit more of an upside play, I guess, with Deuce Robinson at wide receiver. Because here's the thing, he's played 4 games this year, and I'm just going to read off his fantasy numbers because this is fucking hilarious. But first game, 3.8 points. Second game, 37.3 points. Third game, 1.8 points. And last week, he had 32.7 points.
He was unguardable last week, man. Fucking guardable. So wait, you're counting on him to get 30 or 1?
Basically, it's just like, listen, if he has the week I want him to have, I might win this whole thing. If he doesn't, well, I donated. So
well, dude, I'm a moron, and I realized I could go to the website and bring up my lineups. Goodness. I have done that. And so my other 2 players in this lineup was I went with Coy Eakin, the wide receiver for Texas Tech, with Baron Morton. I played him in that Utah game. He didn't get the ball much, actually. I think I lost on the underdog prop, but part of that was Baron Morton got knocked out. That was Morton's favorite target. I think with Morton getting the start, Coy Eakin kind of undervalued right now. And then one I like for Colorado is Jalon Miller as they're taking on TCU. This is one where I do believe it's essential that they continue to get him involved in the offense. That you look at the past couple games, I feel like he's gotten more and more involved as far as he's taking snaps. It's kind of like the Anquan Bolden, or to a certain extent, of the way I feel like they should be utilizing him more like that. Or what's the kid from South Carolina? I'm drawing a blank. Played for the Niners. Deebo Samuel as well.
Okay.
I feel like to me, I'm surprised they haven't used him more. But last week he was taking snaps at the quarterback spot despite not throwing the ball. So Jalon Miller, I think, is undervalued against TCU. He's incredibly cheap there. So yeah, and that's my roster. How about you? You're good. I'm good. Folks, I'm sorry for the sloppy show. My phone is broken.
Please use the underdog sign up promo so Colby can purchase a new iPhone.
Yes. My phone's still just completely fucking blank. Shout out to AT&T and Apple and all the fine people that have my phone on a pile of shit. And shout out to those that it's restarting randomly right now. That's a good sign.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I didn't press restart. I mean, I pressed restart 35 minutes ago. So glad to see it's up to date. But yeah, give Rob Donaldson a follow on Twitter at RobDFB. Make sure you check out right now. Take a second and go over and subscribe to his Rob's Best Bet show on YouTube, Rob Donaldson. He's also on VSiN and Sports Grid often. So check him out, Rob. I appreciate you coming on the show, and I appreciate specifically here for basically holding it down while I just sat here and twiddled my fucking thumbs. So
it's good for the bit,
brother. Yeah, yeah. So like, folks, who works at Apple? So what do we got to do here? Let's get that.
Probably 8-year-old Chinese kids, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm about to say, not going to be listening. There, no one at a DFS show.
Yeah,
and no one listening to a DFS show. Like the people listening to DFS shows are fucking working at like UPS or something. You know what I mean? Like
right, blue collar.
Yeah. So anyway, but if your wife works at Apple or somewhere, I mean, hook me up with an iPhone deal here. All right. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right. But what else you got? What else? What else does your wife do? All right. She's working over there at, some spot where you got Disneyland passes. Goddamn, having a son's expensive. All right. Let me see what else I can squeeze from this great fan base we're building here. All right.
Oh man.
Yeah, folks, get out to a live sporting event and make sure you limit your cocktails. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. And I'm going to the AT&T store right after. Well, I got a CFL show to do. And guess what? That's in 27 minutes. And I don't have my lineup there either. So this is going to be fantastic. Folks, till next time, this is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.